Any questions on last session or prior sessions, please? Any questions? Okay, means you are good.
Lakshman, can you just recap what we discussed in last 4 sessions in just 5 minutes? Just
You were not there in those sessions? How it was?
no, due to network issues, right? So I missed just here and there. So that is the reason, Lakshman.
Okay. So hope you received the videos. Okay, only yesterday video is pending. Prior all the videos I shared with my team, you can get from my team. And today I will share yesterday session video plus today's session video also. If you want to play back, please do it so that you can connect somewhere if you are missing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll walk through. Yeah. In the very first session, I think we discussed about the introduction of this course. What is the meaning of Oracle and application and meaning of financial. In the second session, we discussed about the meaning of Fusion and cloud. So this is the data related to those discussions. We discussed these are the different product families. What we are going to learn is financials. From the financials, we are going to learn these applications, which we call as key applications. These 5 applications we call as key. Along with that, we are going to just have a walkthrough through these 2 applications. When we are working on these applications, it's a mandatory we have to leverage these applications with the different reasons. Along with the financials, we are going to learn supply chain basics. Okay, basic functionalities. So what you should aware being a finance consultant about SCM, those are the areas we are going to focus. So maybe I think, yeah, this is what we discussed in the first session. In the second session, we discussed about what does it mean by fusion, how Oracle came up with the fusion concept, what products they acquired, how they built the fusion applications we discussed. So along with the first session or second session we discussed, these are the areas which talks about the real time. I clearly mentioned you'll get around 15 hours recorded videos on this real-time related classes, which I was conducted. I think this is all about first session and part of second session. In the second session itself, we discussed about what does it mean by cloud? What is the difference between on-premise and cloud? In case of cloud, what are the different options we have that we discussed in the third session? These are the different options. And also we discussed about the landscape of the instances, right? So when we work for any implementation project, by default, you'll have access to 2 instances. One is a test and other one is prod, production instance. But production short name is prod. This you can call as instance or environment or pod. So with any name you can call. By default, every client can get access to 2 instances. More than 2, if they want to have, yes, they can pay and they can get from Oracle. Mostly that would be for development purpose. So ideally, these are the 3 instances you may come across. If client wants to have more than with the different purposes possible. So apart from these instances, you can have a Vision instance. Purely that you will get from your company. If you are working for any company as a consultant, they will provide you that instance, maybe for internal purpose, for your testing, training, or other aspects. Okay, this you don't see with the client. The Vision instance you don't see with the client. Always you find the instances without any data when you deal with a client. You have to start working on it and you have to build everything. In case of Vision instance, you can have a sample data. Okay, within this Vision instance, you can have a sample data. Maybe you can use for reference when you're learning. So that's what we discussed. I guess as a part of third session, we discussed about user and what roles need to be assigned and what is the purpose of the user roles. And in fourth session, if I'm not wrong, or fourth or fifth session. Yes, only fourth session. Yes, fourth. Yep, fourth session. We have seen how to enable offerings and options and how to create implementation project and all these assignments, updates we discussed. As a fifth session, which was last session, yesterday session. Okay, so we discussed even this part also we discussed as a part of that only FSM. Okay, the same just I mentioned here. Or else this we can remove. It's duplicated. So this is what we discussed as a part of fourth session. In yesterday's session, we had a discussion on transaction creation. If you want to create the transactions within the system, we have to capture the date, description, amount. These are the three elements we have to capture to keep the transaction more meaningful. To capture the date, we need to create the calendar. If you want to create the calendar, these are the points need to be considered. When you record the transaction in the system, you have to enter the amounts. The amounts we have to address with the currency. And currency, we have a three type of currencies: functional, foreign, stat. And calendar we have to create in the system, and we created in the system. Currencies we no need to create. All currencies Oracle is providing. Whatever the currency you require, you have to enable, you can use it. This is what we discussed in the last 5 sessions. Any questions from anyone, please? No questions. Good. Let's talk about description. It's a very, very important when you capture the transaction, what details you want to capture. The details you can capture as a part of description. Say you are running the company and you are recording the transactions. What details you may capture as a part of transaction description? Let's talk about it. So here I'm taking the case. I'm going to talk about the description part. Transaction description. This is a targeted item. Say, for example, you have a multiple companies in your organization, you are doing multiple businesses. Those all you may record, you may maintain in the system. Say you have a few businesses. Let me take example XYZ Inc. you are taking as a company, and XYZ Inc. consulting services, and XYZ Inc. financial services, XYZ Inc. some construction services. So these are the 3 businesses you are doing. When you record the transaction, within the transaction, you have to specify the transaction belongs to which business. Along with that, you also should specify the transaction is performed by which department. So you have few departments like finance department, HR department, and marketing department, sales department, and other one you can say procurement department, different many departments you could say as a part of business. So you are doing 3 different businesses: consulting, financial, and constructions. Okay, consulting, financial, and construction. These are 3 type of businesses, or 3 different vertical of businesses you can call, or you can say 3 line of businesses. You can represent with any name. And you have many departments, but for our discussion purpose, I am taking few names. And you may do different activities. For each activity you do, we maintain separate account. So you are paying salaries, you need salaries account. You are spending some admin expense, you have to maintain admin expense account. You are traveling, travel related, you are spending different expense. For food you are spending, you need on account. Accommodation, you have to maintain on account, and taxi you have to maintain on account. Airfare, whatever the different expense you spend, you want to record in the system. for each expense or each activity, not only expense, any activity you do, it may be related to spending money, your expense, or buying something or selling something, or different activities what you do in the organization. For every activity, you have to capture how much amount is related to with account only. So now let's see few accounts. Okay, let me list out few accounts for our discussion purpose. Say salaries account, admin expense, something like airfare expense, taxi expense, and say some purchases like laptop purchases, some purchases related to desktop, some purchase related to furniture. The same way sales also, revenue, different various activities will. Okay, the bank accounts. Say HSBC account. What are the bank accounts we have in our organization? Those accounts also we have to maintain here for transaction details capturing. And you have a Citibank, say JP Morgan account. So different accounts, many. Reality, if you look at organizations, these accounts you see in thousands and lakhs also. It depends on the size of organization. If it is a very larger organization, you see accounts in lakhs. If mid-size and all, definitely you see these accounts in thousands. Because they do many activities. They do many activities in the process of internal, with the suppliers, customers, purchasing and selling. Many activities. For each activity, we use a separate account. For our discussion purpose, let me take this data. So this is how you have a different companies, different department. These are the different activities you are doing. So this all you have to maintain in the system first. Maintain all these in the system. Whenever you record the transactions, you select the transactions belongs to which company, which department, which account. So that's how you can specify. For this, for easy identification, instead of calling it as consulting services, you can give some code. This you can call as company codes. So you don't need to say every time financial services, consulting, construction. Simply you can say company 1, company 2, company 3. 3 means construction, 1 means consulting, 2 means financial. That's it. The same way for departments also, for ease of use, you can give codes. So department, when you say department 2, you don't need to say HR. That is by default HR, because you are mapping every department with so-and-so number. So this is how, just when we are going to maintain this data, how many companies we have, how many departments we have, you can maintain with the codes. The same is applicable for all the accounts. What are the accounts you are going to have within your organization? You'll have a numbering. Again, when we talk about numbering, there will be grouping that we will discuss later. But now, just for our understanding purpose, you take this. Okay. So for every company, every department, every account, we go with some numbering, so that whenever we record the transactions, it would be very easy for us, okay, to record, and for system understanding also will become easy when we are producing the reports also. That will help you a lot. How it will help us when you talk about reporting and all, that we will see when we are dealing with the respective concept. But now just this is the point we have to make a note. So for company department account, we have some numbering. If you are going to record any transaction, now it's very easy. Say for example, this construction business, okay, did some sales or spend some expense, or else the construction for within the construction business, the finance department Okay, the finance department, they purchased laptop. How you can record in the system? So very easy now. Company constructions means 3. You can take 3 dot, separate it. Which department did that activity? Finance department or procurement department. Take procurement department did that activity. Procurement means 5 dot. What they did? They purchased laptop. Laptop purchases account number is 5. So you can put 5. That's it. It makes sense. 3.5.5 means 3 means company, 3 that is the construction, 5 means that is department, procurement department, another 5 is account. The account is laptop purchase. You no need to capture everything. For everything you are giving the code and you simply select the code. It makes sense for the company. Even if you are going to see, yes, you can understand. 3.5.5. This we call as code combination. This we call as code combination, in short CC. So this is how we have to maintain the data in the system in our application. And whenever you record the transaction, this is how you can easily capture the description. 3.5.5 is our transaction description. Okay, 355, it makes sense. What does it mean? That clearly we mention in the system. This is what we call as a transaction description. So if you want to maintain this information in the system, what we have to do? What we have to do? Before we just talk about it. So based on the data, you can give the titles for this data, right? So based on the data, what we discussed here, you can give some titles. What title we can give for this? What data is this? Company related data. You can give the title as a company. So what data is this? This is all about departments data. You can give department. Just we are giving that, we are labeling, we are giving some titles. This data is what? Accounts. So you can give the title as account. It talks about accounts. So you can give the title as account. That's it. So just we are giving the titles or labeling based on what data it is. So we have 3 companies, we have 5 departments, we have 10 accounts. Just for our discussion, reality accounts thousands and lakhs. Now, these all companies or departments and accounts are belongs to which organization? What business they are doing, we mentioned consulting, financial, constructions. These all companies, departments, accounts are belongs to which organization? That title you can provide here. It may be XYZ INC corporation or group. Or group or anything you can give. Say XYZ INC group. Within XYZ INC group, we have this information. This all belongs to XYZ INC group company. They are doing consulting, financial service, construction. They have different departments and accounts. As it is, we have to maintain in our instance. Within our instance, you have to maintain this data as it is. You have to maintain as it is. You have to give the title as XYZ INC group at a very, very top level. Under XYZ INC group, you have to give the labels, headings, company, department, account. Under company, you have to list out all the companies. Under department title, list out all the departments. Under account title, list out all the accounts. This is how we have to set up in the system. So if you want to set up as it is in the system, hope you can see some kind of hierarchy here. If you just observe very carefully, you can see some sort of hierarchy. How it is. This is kind of hierarchy. Under this XYZ INC group, we have different classification of data. Company and department and account. Okay, company, department is some kind of hierarchy. And again, under company, we have all this. That is also one level of hierarchy. That's what we have to understand. Okay, under company, we have list of companies. Under company title, we have a list of companies. That also you have to treat as. Under this, we have this. In the same way, rest also you can apply the same point. We have XYZ ANC group, which is sitting very high level. Under that, we have a kind of classification of data. We are classifying the data. We are segmenting the data, separating the data. Like this data is companies, this data is belongs to department, this data is belongs to accounts. We are doing the segmentation, separation. Under every segmentation and every title, we have relevant data. Under company title, company's data. Under department title, department data. The same if you want to establish the same information if you want to establish in the system environment. Okay, what we have, how we can do, what is the naming convention we'll discuss. The same if you want to bring into the system, since it is a spreadsheet, I'm good to establish, or I can just manage this data in the spreadsheet, because spreadsheet is that much flexible. Okay, you can put anything anywhere, it will hold, it can catch, it can support. But within the instance, it is not possible directly to establish this kind of hierarchy, keeping XYZ ANC group as top level, under that company, department, account as a kind of subtitles, under titles, the relevant information. This you cannot establish in the system directly. For that, what Oracle is doing is, Oracle is providing one feature. That feature name is accounting key flex field. Oracle is providing accounting key flex field. With the help of accounting key flex field, you can maintain this data as it is in the system. Okay. Now here I am able to prepare this data by using the feature or application called as spreadsheet. With the help of spreadsheet, I am establishing this relationship hierarchy. The same if you want to do in the Fusion instance, what we have accounting key flex field. With the help of accounting key flex field, this as it is you can move into Fusion. This is what you can create in the Fusion environment. So where do we have this accounting key flex field within the Fusion? This is there as a part of general ledger application. It is there in the GL application. Within the GL application, Oracle is providing accounting key flex field. Within the accounting key flex field, this is what you can do. Okay. Within the general ledger application, you can create accounting key flex field, and this you can maintain. Good. So the same you can maintain within the accounting key flex field. How you maintain? What is the naming convention as per system we have to understand. If you want to give this title in the system, okay, this title we have to give in the accounting key flex field as chart of accounts, COA. Okay, short name is COA, chart of account structure. You can say name, chart of account structure name, because this is a name for the entire information. That is a title. The XYZ ANC group that you can map into the system as chart of accounts structure name, or simply call it as chart of account structure. And each and every titles what we have, company, department, account. These titles we can create in this chart of accounts as segments. Why we are calling as segments? The titles are helping us to segment the data, separate the data. If those titles are not there, it will become big mess. The data will be mixed. So the titles only keeping this data separate. Companies data you can maintain under companies, department data under department title. So the titles which are helping us to segment the data, okay, the titles we are calling as segments as per our accounting key flex field. Within accounting key flex field, if you are going to move these titles, those we call as segments. Under each title, we have a data. When you call this as a company as a segment, when you call it as a company, this is a company data. When you call it as a department, this is department data. When you call it as a segment, this is segment data. The company is a segment, this is segment data. Which segment is this? This is the company segment, this is the department segment, this is the account segment. Under company segment, you can maintain the company data. That data you can call as company segment data. The data you can call as values as per system. So now simply you can say the company 1, 2, 3, you can call as company segment values. You can call it as company segment values. This data you can call as department segment values. The title we are calling a segment, which its title is department. So department segment. That information what we have, we are calling as values. So this data is department segment values. This data is account segment values. That's it. These three we are calling as segments as per our system. The data which is available we are calling as values. By combining this segment and values, we are calling as segment values. These all are segment values. These all are segment values. Which values are these? These are company segment values. These are the department segment values. These are account segment values. So that's what we have to maintain in the system. Okay, first we have to maintain the segments. Under segments, we have to maintain the segment values. Segment values. Okay, segment values. So this is all about segment values and segments, what we have to understand. Okay, this is spreadsheet. It's so flexible. I can just put anything, I can play with the data and I can insert, I can just connect, anything I can do. But in this, our instance is not flexible as a spreadsheet. Okay, so for that reason, when we deal with this data, how it works, we have to understand few points. So you take this data, companies. When you talk about this company's data, so under company segment, you cannot maintain this data directly as per system. So since this is a spreadsheet, under company title, I can write all these companies. Under department title, I can put all these values. It works as per spreadsheet. But within our instance, no. Instance, what we have to do? If you want to maintain all the companies, we cannot add all the companies under company segment. What we have to do is, we have to create the value set. To maintain all the company values, we have to create company value set. What you have to do, you have to create the company value set. Within the company value set, you can maintain all the values. Here, value set acts as a container for the values. All the company values you have to maintain in the company value set. In the same way, all the department values we have to maintain in the department value set. Directly you cannot maintain in the system. The spreadsheet, yes, I written. It's okay. But in the system, it doesn't work in the same way as I mentioned. So directly you cannot maintain all these values under department segment. So here you have to create, okay, I'm writing the short name, DEP, department value set. For a department, you have to create the value set, you list out all the departments. In the same way, accounts also you cannot maintain directly under account segment. Okay, you cannot maintain. What we have to do is, you have to create one value set to maintain all the accounts. That you can say account value set. So the values we have to maintain in the respective value sets. all companies in the company value set, all departments in the department value set, all accounts in the account value sets. And these value sets we have to assign to respective segments. Why we are maintaining all this? Okay, these all are required. These all you want to maintain under company segment, under company title. So that is the reason we have to create the mapping. You have to assign company value set to company value set not to department, company value set to company, so that it makes sense. So this segment can have access to all this data. That is the target. We want to maintain all the companies under company segment, but directly it is not possible. Indirectly it is possible. How? You just maintain all the values companies in company's value set. You assign company value set to company segment. Now these all values would be available under company only with the help of value set. Without value set, no. In the same way here also, maintain all the departments by using the department value set. Now assign this department value set to department segment. So all the accounts you maintain the account value set. Now you assign this value set to account segment. Now account segment can have access to all the accounts with the help of account value set. Department segment can have access to all the departments through this value set. Here also through this value set, the company segment can have access to all the companies. So this is how it works. It means along with this segment and the segment values, what else we need? We need value set also. Without value set, no segment can hold some values. Okay, we have to create the segments, nothing but these titles. How many segments we have? For each segment, we have to create one value set. We have 3 segments, we have to create the 3 value sets. With the help of value sets, you can maintain the segment values. This is what you can maintain with the help of value sets. And you have to associate the value set to respective segments. That you don't need to discuss here, just try to understand. Each value set we have to assign to the respective segment so that the data will be the full sync. If you go to company, you can find all these companies because all are holded by this value set. The value set is already you associated with the company you attached, you assigned, you mapped or connected, anything you can say. So this is what we have to understand when we talk about description of the transaction. Okay, if you want to capture the description of the transaction, what details you want to capture as a part of description, that all you can maintain by using the chart of accounts. This is what we have to understand. You call it as a chart of account structure name or simply call it as chart of account structure. You have to create the chart of accounts. Within the chart of accounts, you can have all the segments. How you can decide how many segments you require, whatever the data you want to capture, accordingly you can maintain the segments. Okay. And for each segment, create one value set, and in each value set, you maintain the relevant data. Now, if you have a chart of accounts within the system, within the chart of accounts, whatever the data you have, by selecting, by capturing that, you can record the transactions. When we are going to record the transaction from the calendar, you can pick the date, and what are the amounts you are entering, that you can specify the currency, since currency is there. What exactly you are doing, that you can represent with your chart of accounts. In chart of accounts, all companies, all departments, all account. If you want to maintain something else, yes, you can maintain within the chart of accounts. You can keep the data ready, you no need to write. One time we predefine. We create chart of account one time on regular basis. Whatever the transaction you create within the chart of accounts, what company, what department, what account, you can pick and you can record the transaction. So that is the reality as per system. This is what we have to understand. So to capture the description of the transaction in the system, we need to create chart of accounts. This is what we have to understand. This is a target point. So to capture the description in the system, we have to create the chart of accounts. How do you create the chart of accounts? To create the chart of accounts, first we create the segments, what data need to be captured as a part of each and every transaction. And for each segment, we have to create the value set. In each value set, we have to maintain the relevant data. That data you can call as segment values. So this is what you have to understand when you talk about description. Okay. So with the calendar, you can capture the date. With the chart of accounts, you can capture the description of the transaction. With a currency, you can identify the amounts that belongs to which currency. So this is all about chart of accounts. Now I'm naming as a chart of accounts. Why chart of accounts are required to capture the description? Why you have to capture the description? To understand what we are doing. Okay. By understanding what you can do, you can produce the reports. It means the final goal is reporting purpose. Always we create the chart of accounts based on our reporting requirements. Okay. So what is the purpose of chart of accounts in the system? For reporting purpose. As per internal and external reporting requirements, we have to create the chart of accounts. This is the bottom line point. Have any questions on chart of accounts to understand what we discussed, please? Any questions, please? At least 1-2 questions.
Yeah.
Lakshman,
Yeah.
please go ahead.
Yeah, Lakshman, regarding segments, is this something company is going to instruct us how many segments they want, or as a functional consultant, we need to suggest how many segments they want?
Yeah, it's a good question that we are going to discuss in the next level.
Okay.
Yeah, your questions yesterday also I mentioned, always next discussions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry, just let's focus on this only, just we will keep going. If you are triggering many questions, please make a note if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, great, thanks. Any other questions?
So, yes, Lakshman, Guru here. So this whole design of all this chart of account and the whole segments, is this specific to Oracle only, or in other systems also it is being used the same way? I mean, when we go to the client, if we represent in front of them, then do they know anything about it, or we have to explain everything like design like this to them, and then they help us to decide the segments?
See, this is a naming convention as per our Oracle applications. Okay. If you look at some other systems also should support as per the business, how they are doing. The target is reporting. One thing is capturing the transaction. The second important point is reporting. In every system, there will be something similar to this, but naming convention could be different. That's it.
Okay. So whoever is working on the
many matured accounting systems, mostly we call as chart of accounts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the person, whoever is like CPA or CEO or anybody from the financial side in the company, he must be aware of this thing already, like this kind of structure we will need for implementation.
No. We just start interfacing with them and we will introduce to them how it works in the fusion. They will come to know. Oh, they'll go, okay, we have to use the chart of accounts. We got it. Whatever we want to capture in each and every transaction, you are asking us to put into chart of accounts so that we can record the transactions and we'll be able to generate the reports. Got it. We used to do similar thing in our current system with concept called as chart field or GL account. They come up with those terminology. We don't need to worry about what they speak. Just we have to give them how it works in our fusion. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, Lakshman, this side.
Yeah.
Yeah, this we have mentioned like 3.55, like 3 is for construction, 5 for procurement, and 5
That's
for
okay.
again
That's already written.
purchase.
You don't need to read it. Don't mind. Just go ahead with the question.
So in the system, we need to how we system will identify. Suppose I understand, okay, this is actually referring to construction, procurement, and purchase. But the other person, how they will identify? They need to click and they will get to know about this is which is setup is like that.
No, I didn't get your question. What you are trying to ask?
My question is whether you set up this in the we have written in the 3.55, right? So
Hmm.
this terminology they will understand how it is.
Okay. You are talking about code combination.
Code combination, yes.
Yeah, see, when you record the transaction with the code combination, if you look into 355, it gives the description also. Okay. Along with the 3, you can find XYZ INC construction service name also. But we select only 3. It fetch description. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah. Here 3 is company code. The name is description. That's what we refer.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be there along with that so that there won't be any challenge for anyone. 3 means by whenever they see 3, next to 3, there will be description. XYZ INC construction service. That's how everyone can understand anything.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, hi Lakshman.
Yeah.
See, in the department, we like you have mentioned all these things. My question is, if let us say somebody wants to like they have a business set up in Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, and some other places of India. So if they want to give like places as well, they can.
Yes,
give it.
possible. You can have one more segment.
Okay.
Yeah. See, their requirement is along with the company department account, they want to capture location or they want to capture product. They want to capture some line of business. They want to capture location or some product or process line, etc. Yes, they can include within the chart of accounts. They can add one more segment. We'll come to that point. That is the next level of discussion. Just I am trying to make you to understand. I'm trying to introduce what we call as a chart of accounts. How to play with that? Yes, we have time to discuss. We are going to discuss. 2 levels of discussion will establish. In today's session itself, I'll take you through next level of information. And maybe after a few more classes, after maybe after 4 or 5 classes, again, I'll touch base on the chart of accounts to fill the rest of gaps, what level of understanding we should have. Yeah. Any other questions, please? Fine. Okay, no questions. We'll just move on. So now, the next question is, when we do the implementation for any company, the chart of accounts, what we are discussing, how many segments we have to create? Okay, how many segments we need to create as a part of implementation? And how many segments this chart of accounts structure allows us? These are the points we have to understand. The very first point is, by using accounting key flex field, we can create the chart of accounts. Within the chart of accounts, we create the segments for each segment value set, for within each value set segment values. This is what we discussed. Now the first question is, how many segments we can create within the chart of accounts? How many segments we can create? So when you talk about how many, let me write chart of accounts. We're talking about COA.
3.
Okay. Sorry, any question?
No. 3 segments we need to create under a COA, correct?
That I will explain.
Okay.
Yeah. So chart of accounts. So we need to create minimum 2 segments. Minimum 2 segments. When you create chart of accounts, minimum we have to create 2 segments. As of now, you take the names as we have to create the company and account. Later I'll tell you the same you can call with a different naming convention also. If I explain now, you cannot understand. You have to see a few things in the system, then we can just change the naming convention. For now, you take as a company and account. So when you create the chart of accounts, minimum 2 segments, those are company and account. With the minimum 2 segments, we have to create the chart of account, otherwise it doesn't work. Max, how many we can create? What is the capacity Oracle is giving to create the chart of accounts with the respective segments? The maximum capacity is 30. Minimum 2, maximum 30. Okay. Never think we use the 30 segments, even they are giving. It is like the speed in your car. You never touch that end point of the speed, what you see. What is the capacity of your car or bike or some other vehicle? It would be there as a capacity. That's it. Here, reality, when we do the implementation, how many segments we do create? Okay, as per reality, how many segments we do create in the chart of accounts? Say we are working for one client, how many segments we need to create? So in some implementations, we create 6 segments. In some implementations, 7 segments. In some implementations, 8 or 9. 10 very rare. Okay, what is the average of this? 8. That you can take as a, most of the implementations will create 7 or 8. Okay. In many implementations, you can see segments are 7 or 8. But depending on the client, these are the different number of segments we create. You are implementing for one client, you may create the chart of account with the 6 segments. For other client, it may be 7. For another client, 8, 10 or 9. And on an average, when you consider 10 projects, what you did, it could be mostly 7 or 8 segments. This is how you can find the reality. Here now the big question is how you can decide how many segments they need. How you can decide how many segments they need. Do we decide or they will decide or who will decide? Okay. Who decides? That's a very important point. So when we talk about how we can finalize this concept, we call as designing the chart of accounts. When we are working for any client, we don't say simply creating the chart of accounts. It's kind of effort where we involve, really we have to understand their business, their reporting requirements. And this concept we call as being a finance functional consultant, we have to involve in the designing the chart of accounts. So designing the chart of accounts is nothing but discussing the client, understanding what they want to capture as a part of transaction, how they want to produce the reports. These are all points we have to understand. That's how we create the chart of accounts, but we call as we design the chart of accounts. So typical implementation, any implementation you take into consideration, mostly what segments you find. As we discussed, 2 segments are mandatory. These are basic. Why these 2 became basic segments, minimum segments, company and account? So you are doing some activity as a company, that activity should belong to so-and-so business, or else you are doing only one business. You are doing only one business, but you have 10 branches. At least you have to specify that activity you are doing in which branch. Here branch you can call as a company, or else if you have different businesses, each business you can call as a company. Your company you can represent with the different aspects. So you have a four different businesses. Each business you can call as a company, or else you have only one business, but you have 10 branches. Each branch you can treat as a company here. So it's all about identification. The transaction belongs to which entity, which branch or which company, and what activity you are doing, that you can represent with the account. It means in every implementation, you have a segment called as company or something equal to company, that you will come to know. Other naming conventions, what we can use, how we derive, many points are there to understand. We'll discuss all those slowly, one by one we'll understand. In every implementation, you can have a segment called as company. In every implementation, 100% you will have a segment called as account. apart from these two, very general, we use for any client, any company segment called as department. Okay, what are the other naming conventions for all these? We will discuss very soon. Okay, you take this as is. This is how you can have company, department, account. What are mandatory? Company and account mandatory. Okay, they may have a department. They may have a department, or they may call it as a division, or with some different names also we can call. We'll see that later. For now, you take this. So two are mandatory, that is a company and account. Along with this company and account, very general, in every organization, there will be department. When they record the transactions, definitely the transaction belongs to which department they capture. And another very, very important point is, even our chart of accounts got capacity of 30 segments. Once you create the chart of accounts and start using it, you cannot or you should not increase the number of segments. Say you created chart of account with 6 segments today, and clients started using. They're using the chart of accounts, they're recording the transactions, they're generating the reports. After 2 years, what they will do is they may acquire another company, or else they may expand their business, or it could be they may launch some new service or product, or they may go with some partnership, venturing with other company. It could be anything, something will pop up. Could be business expansion, there's this expanded business to other countries or other segments. Segments means here business as a different thing. There may be some different products or different services, or say they expanded, they just launched business in the different industry. They just adapted some new different businesses, maybe acquisition, or they newly launched. Okay, or venturing, they started doing some venturing business with other companies. So many things can happen in the business. Those all we have to keep in our mind. The reason is, once you finalize a chart of account, that will be freezed. You should not do any changes. Today you are doing the implementation. Okay, client may use this Fusion applications 10 more years or 20 more years or 30 more years. We don't know. Tomorrow Oracle is going to come up with some upgraded product. Yes, they will upgrade. Till the time, definitely as it is, they'll be using. So we have to keep in our mind the kind of changes which may occur in the future. Definitely there could be need of additional segments as per the changes, or additional data, what they have to capture as per the new industries or some new business lines, etc., etc. So by keeping all this in our mind, we should suggest to the client to have a buffer segments, additional segments. Now itself, we have to create the room space for those within the chart of accounts. If you finalize 7 segments, if they start using after 2 years, if they come back to us, if they say, hey, we need one more segment, 8th segment, not possible. It will allow you to add, since we have a scope of 30 segments in the chart of accounts, it will allow. The moment you allow, everything will get disturbed. You will be tapped into data inconsistency issues. Everything will get disturbed. That is the reason it's a very, very serious point. Oracle says, never increase the size of segments in our chart of accounts. If you want to do it, there is a different practice. You have to do it as a separate project itself, redesigning the chart of accounts. It is not like just you will go to system and you will add segment. You should not do that. So you should be very, very careful. It is chart of account is like heart. For us, everything runs with a heart. Okay, if it is not functioning, nothing will function. The same way within the Fusion applications, chart of account is heart. If chart of account is not proper, everything will fall in the same track. Everything goes wrong. So that is the reason when we are dealing with the chart of accounts, we have to be very, very careful. And we have to take all these points into consideration. So we should not add any new segments once you start using the chart of accounts. Before start using, okay. But once implementation is done, immediately client will start using. So these points we have to keep in our mind. That is the reason we have to create few buffer segments in every implementation. As a consultant, we recommend to the client, when we sit with the client, when we discuss, we may finalize they need 6 or 7 segments. But as a consultant, When you are doing real consulting services, you have to tell them in future something may pop up. And if you need new segments, it is not at all possible. It is not at all recommended. So you should plan now itself. They can say, how can I find out? How can I just foresee like what segments I need? No worries. You no need to find out what segments you need in the future. You keep as a buffer. You can rename it in the future and you can maintain the relevant segment values and you can use when you record the transactions. So this is what we have to give the suggestion. We as a consultant, we suggest to the client to have at least 2 buffer segments, additional segments. Those very generally we name them as a future 1 and future 2. Some client says, no, we don't need future segments, but still as a consultant, by knowing everything, you have to recommend. If they are not accepting, at least suggest 1 future segments. Tell them it is not going to harm you. It is not going to disturb anything. It will help you if any need in the future for additional segments. At least you recommend at least 2 segments. If they accept, well and good. Otherwise, at least you just try to convince them to have 1 additional segment as a future one. Why you need to convince? You don't get any benefit. Okay. So you love doing your right job in right way. That is the reason you may convince them so that they can take the benefit in the future. Otherwise, we have to accept what they say. So as a consultant will be there with the client by knowing everything about the product, how to use, how they should not use, and will be given the good directions. The final decision will come out from the client only. What they says, we have to do it, but we have to give the right directions. Some clients will totally depends on us. We don't know anything. Please do it good for us, this and that they says. Some clients, they don't listen to us. They just says, this is how we need, that's how we need. It's a different stories. So, but you should know the product, how to use, what are the best practices. This is all we should have. We'll discuss when you design the chart of account, what are the best practices. I'll talk about that best practices maybe after a few classes, because this is not the right time. I'll talk about what you have to understand at this point of time. So these are the points. Okay. For every company, organization, any client, the company accounts, these 2 are mandatory segments. By default, definitely you can have a segment called as department. Along with that, you can suggest to have a 2 buffer segments. These you can call as buffer segments, additional segments, future segments. Okay. And more than this, what other segments we may implement, we may include as a part of chart of accounts for client. Here you take this example, XYZ Agency Consulting Financial Construction. So these 3 businesses they are doing with their customers. Sometimes they may deal with the suppliers also. If you take example, construction services, they buy some material from their suppliers and they may sell the services. They may do the construction for their customers, whatever it may be. And definitely in every business, there will be something they have to buy, something they have to sell. If you take consulting services, they may render the services from other vendors. And finally, they may deliver the services for other customers. So this is how there will be like a 2-way. Okay, we buy and sell, or we get and we provide. If it is services, we may get the service, we may provide the service to our customer. And if it is something, some kind of item related, we procure and we may sell, and we may procure and we may do some makeup, means kind of body shop work, and we may provide that product to our customer. It could be any kind of business. Okay, any kind of business. So there will be inflow and outflow. Something will come into organization, something will go out from the organization, maybe product or it may be kind of service. Fine. Now, here, sometimes this is a intent of business. Like we get something and we just add some margin, we'll sell or we will provide the services to end customers or some B2B, like business to business. It could be any model of services. So we do that. Now, when we are doing all these, sometimes there could be some internal transactions also. Okay. For example, the construction services business needs some financial services. Okay. They may take the services from the company too. The construction services, they're into construction, they do the business with their suppliers and customers. But sometimes there may be a situation where within the organization, there could be some transactions. The financial service, okay, the financial services, what we have, those services, the construction business might be in the need. They will take the financial services, they take some service from the financial services, and where the construction services can use that kind of service. Or the construction services business may take some consulting services from another business within our organization. So those are not services, providing the services to our customers are not services we are taking from outside. Everything is happening internally. Okay, there could be activity, there could be transactions. Okay, see, if you take home, everybody is working and getting the money, and we spend that money, we use money for different purposes. Sometimes within the family, there will be transactions where the one person will give the money to other person. It means money is not going out from your home, or money is not coming into your home. It is happening within your family members. That is an internal activity. The same way in the business also, however, between the parties within the home, among the family members, how the money flows, some transaction takes place in the organization also. So there could be some transactions which takes place. Those are internal activities. If you want to capture such kind of, if you are into that kind of business scenario where some activities takes place within your business across the different verticals like consulting, financial, construction. If you do such kind of activities, if you want to track those very detailed level, you can have one more segment called as intercompany. Okay, internally you are doing some transaction. You want to keep eye on those. You want to have a great visibility. What purpose consulting is contacting financial services, what purpose construction business is taking some services from financial or some other within the organization. If you want to track, our business is not that. Our business is doing the business with our customers, and just doing business with our suppliers means procuring some items or taking some services. Even that is our business. Sometimes there are chances where you do like the activities across your different entities what we have in your business. If you want to capture all those very detailed level, you can do that. You take this example, say consulting services is taking the service from financial services, then you will record the transaction like this. Company will give 1, intercompany you will give as the financial services taking the service from where? 2. So you'll enter 2 here. That's it. This is intercompany transaction. Transaction is happening between your organizations, within your organization, between different companies, financials and constructions. Which department or something you will, sorry, I mentioned the wrong cell here, intercompany. 2. Transactions, these are the companies, this is also companies only, but it is happening between, that is the reason we are calling as intercompany. So this is how we have to specify the system. If you have such kind of business scenarios in your organization where, so it happens within the organization across the different businesses, that also you can capture. Accordingly, you can produce the reports also. You can make sure that nothing is pending from one company to other company within. Other side, always with our supplier and customer, we should have a clear information. Anything need to be paid, we have to pay on time. Anything need to be received, we have to receive on time. Rest can be managed. Okay, by respective teams. Apart from that, internally also you have to have a clear information about what happening, where we are standing, okay, what is pending, what is done. You should have a great clarity. That is the reason you can have one segment called as intercompany within your chart of accounts if you are doing such kind of activities within your organization across the different businesses. And apart from this, what else you require, it totally depends on nature of business. Okay, what business you are doing. These by default. You take any company, you do implementation for any company, they need company. Okay, they need account. Definitely they'll have a department. And if they are doing transaction internally, intercompany, and by keeping future growth of the business, they may come up with the new segments requirements to fulfill in the future. Now itself you are planning, and rest maybe 1 or 2 or 3 segments they can choose as per their industry. Say the business, the client is into service industry, they want to classify the services, that also they want to capture whatever the transaction they record, they want to capture the service also, which is service they are providing. The detailed information they can capture with account very high level. They may have one more segment called as service line. Or else they are into some production kind of business, manufacturing. They may want to capture some process line. They want to capture some other information related to product line. Yes, they can have a product line as one of the segment. This is how. So by default, these are the segments typically you see in most of the implementation. Rest 1, 2, 3 segments always depends on what nature of business they are doing. As per the nature of business, what business they are doing, accordingly they can capture. Okay. If you take example like kind of healthcare, you will have all these segments, and within that you may have a segment, additional segments called as specialist name and some other classification. And if you are dealing with the service industry, maybe you may have a service classification or service line. If you are dealing with some manufacturing kind of businesses, you may have that manufacturing related process line, okay, process ID or something, just whatever the data they want to capture, very, very relevant to their business, they can include within this chart of accounts. Another important point is, whatever you are going to have as a chart of account segments, whatever the segments you are going to have within the chart of account, it is not by targeting specific application. This should be useful across the applications. Go to any application, you have to capture the company, department account, if required intercompany, and service line, product line, totally depends. And some projects, what we do is, okay, some projects you may just have a segment called as project. So what client is doing is, client is into so business. Says client is into constructions. When they are into constructions, they may do constructions for their clients. If they are into construction business, definitely they can have a applications called as PPM. By using project portfolio management, like our financials, PPM is another course. As a company point of view, another solution. To learn it is course, to use it is solution. So PPM, project portfolio management. By using the PPM, project portfolio management, you can create all your projects, you can create all the tasks, what you are doing, okay, and how many resources are working, how much you are spending for that project, maybe building construction or some other infrastructure related projects, and you can bill to your customers, and you can generate the revenue by doing the project. Everything can be planned, and it can be scheduled, and it can be executed by using the PPM applications. But say a client is not using the PPM, since they are not doing the projects as a very much focused. Sometimes they do projects, but not all the time. Since sometimes they are doing, they may not go with the PPM implementation. In those scenarios, if they have a business case where sometimes they do the projects, whenever the transaction belongs to project, they want to capture that information, then you can have a project as one of the segment in our chart of accounts. Okay, project you may have as one of the segment. It's not mandatory. There are other ways also to capture, even if they are not using the PPM, if they are doing the projects, without having the project segment in the chart of account also, you can capture the data. There are some other ways, but when we talk about chart of accounts, if they want to have a project as one of segment, yes. If they are using the PPM applications, you don't need segment in the chart of account. PPM application has a capacity of capturing project related data within that application, very, very detailed level and more controlled manner. So these are the points we have to understand. Typically, you see the chart of accounts like this. You'll have a company, you'll have account, definitely department. The naming convention can be different. That I'll discuss when you talk about best practices when you design the chart of accounts. And if required, if you want to capture the projects, what we are doing, that related information, yes, you can have as a project. And depending on the industry, maybe service industry or manufacturing or some hospitality industry, depending on that, okay, you can have a relevant segment, 1 or 2 relevant segments, and always by keeping the future growth or future need of additional segments, we always suggest 2 buffer segments, which we call as future 1, future 2. If client is not ready with the 2, at least you just encourage them to use 1 segment as a feature. Okay, only you can have a feature 1. So this is how you see the real implementation chart of accounts. Okay, this is how you see chart of accounts in real implementations. Okay. So any questions on this, please? Here for our discussion, I took 7 segments chart of accounts. Yes, we'll have 7 or just 8. So I clearly mentioned, okay, this is anyway you will have by default, depending, and this is also trust 1 or 2 segments or 1 or 2 or 3 segments, they can have something else. Say they have companies in three branches they have, you may create 3 companies, but they do different activities in different locations. Okay, say they may do some kind of hosting services or some different activities they may host in different, they want to capture what they are doing. They can have 1 more segment called as location. Okay, they may have 1 more segment called as location, or else they want to capture the product information. They can have segment called as product. Different. When we sit and talk to them, what they want to capture, what is very important for them with respect to reporting, those points we have to keep in the chart of accounts as a segments, but not everything and anything what they ask. We have to educate them what extent they can use it, what they should not include in this chart of accounts. That I will discuss with you after few classes as a part of best practices, because now I can explain there are few points which depends on another concepts understanding. Once we complete those discussions, I'll come up with those points what we have to understand as a best practices. Okay, that may happen maybe after 4 or 5 classes later. So that's all about chart of accounts, what we have to understand at this stage. Any questions on this, please? And another point. So why we go with these many? Why, when system has a capacity of 30, why we go with only this? See, you may have a crores of money. Are you going to spend crores of money? No. Whatever you need, you spend. The rest, let it be. The same way, system has a capacity, but we don't use. We use as per how we need. The reason, every application has a capacity of capturing the data the better way. So apart from that, across the application for reporting, see, if you take payables, payable application is well equipped with all the capacities. You can maintain the suppliers, you can capture invoices, you can process the payments, bank account, this, everything. There itself, you can generate the reports if something is required related to payables. Apart from reporting what you do payables, across all the application, what level of reporting, what reports you want to generate, that you can achieve with a chart of accounts. So you don't need to cook everything into chart of accounts. So you don't need to do those things. Those I'll just reiterate the same points, and I'll add few more points which makes more sense as a best practices. Okay, that we'll discuss maybe after a few classes. For now, this is what, okay, we're just freezing here up to this. So later we'll unlock this and we'll just add something else, what else we have to understand, which will help us when we are working in the implementation projects. Okay. So any questions on this, please?
Hi, Lakshman. This based on chart of accounts, whether this Oracle will charge us, like based on how many segment we are using?
No. See, always Oracle charges which applications you are going to use. Okay. Let me write. They'll charge based on the applications. Applications simply you can say apps, plural. Apps, how many applications you are going to use, and head count, how many users, and a time frame. Say I'm going to use for my company, I want to use Oracle Fusion Financials. So I'll take Fusion Financials. Again, you don't need to take all also. I need GL APR. I don't need cash management and fixed assets. I'll pay for only those 3 applications. How many users? Users are 200 users. I'll pay for 200 users license charge or subscription fee. And again, I need it for by default. I want to take license initially for 5 years. I'll take for 5 years. That's it. So these are the parameters. Which applications you need, for how many users you need access, and for what is the time frame. Yeah. So this is what
These users, I'm sorry,
Please go ahead.
this number of users, that means the number of users logged in at a time, or those will be the number of users actually the logins created?
Yes, logins who are going to connect at a time or different time zones or different like events, doesn't matter. How many logins you require for system? How frequently they use, that is secondary. That is up to you, how you are planning. How many accounts you require, how many logins you require to the system, how many users will be accessing this environment.
Okay, and in the finance team, let's say we have 3 accountants, but all 3 are using one user only. Is that okay? I mean, they can use it
You tell me,
simultaneously.
will it be okay?
Definitely not. On the technical side, sometimes we use the same user, but
No. See, yeah, that's true. Not okay. Reason is you will give one user to 3 people. Somebody will do the mistake. How do you identify in the system?
agree.
When you see in the system, it shows ABC username. Who is ABC? 3 are ABC.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that is the reason we never give like that. So for every employee, we'll give the separate user. Yeah. So any other questions, please?
Yeah, Lakshman, you mentioned, so once a chart of account is set up, so we cannot increase the segments. Is this applicable for segment values as well?
No.
Only for
Anytime you can add the values. So see, you may do different, you may come up with a new department, you may come up with a new company, right? So you may do different activities. You can increase this, always open. Okay, I'm talking about only segment, not segment values.
Okay.
So this you can increase anytime. You can go and add few more, 10 more, 20 more. Here you can increase. Here you can increase. This is an ongoing activity you can do. You can add anything. I'm talking about only
Segments.
segments. That's it.
Okay. And
Yeah.
the second question is, okay, related to intercompany transactions. So the segment values are same for company and intercompany?
Definitely. Right. See, it is not going to be something else, right? Within your companies, what transactions, what kind of communication is happening? Okay. So what activities they are doing, we are going to capture. That means whatever you have as a company, say if you take this example, you have how many companies? 3.
3.
The 3 we have to use
Intercompany as
for
well.
intercompany. That's it. Correct.
Yeah, thanks, Lakshman.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
Yes, Lakshman. Suresh here.
Please.
We created in general ledger accounting flex field as COA, correct? Chart of account. Is it available in AR AP application as well? Terminology.
See, what we do is within the general ledger, we have accounting key flex field. By using accounting key flex field, we create the chart of account.
Yeah.
This chart of account you can use across all the applications. Wherever you want to record the transactions, we can use it. Okay, the origin that belongs to GL, that's it. Okay, so it no need to be available in other applications. Accounting key flex field no need to be available. What we need in every application, chart of account, that would be available.
Okay. Understood, Lakshman.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes, Lakshman. Regarding this legal entities, so do the license will be based on the legal entities or
Where is the legal entity in our discussion?
the first one XYZ Inc. INC?
Sorry?
The company value set.
No, nothing. No legal entity here. We never use the term.
Or the company, whatever you call.
Yeah, you call as company, then I'll talk about it. When we discuss about the term called as legal entity, you ask me relevant questions. Otherwise, the others don't connect.
Okay, fine. Now it is a company. So like any number of companies we can create in one license?
Yes, Say you are doing the business in 100 countries.
Okay,
No worries. You can use for 100. Oracle is not going to charge you based on number of countries. Okay.
okay,
So you just take a subscription for finance. Use, if you are running the business in 100 countries, use it. No worries. Since you are one client, you can do that.
and coming to the users, like somebody will join and somebody will resign, the employees will keep on like floating. So do they will charge for the every change?
No, active users only they count.
Okay.
They count active users. Today you took license for 200 users. Okay. So 10 users, 10 employees left. And you recruited 5 more users, 5 more employees. For 5 more users, you can create the logins. So there will be verification in the system, how many active users we have, actively who are performing the transaction in the system, that they do, that they check as audit trials. Because this instance is going to be in Oracle control, right? They are providing the service. So they can audit at any point of time. If you take subscription for only finance and if you are using SCM, there will be huge penalties. They will allow you to use and they can catch. Okay. Any other questions, please?
Yeah, Lakshman.
Yeah.
So, we have a segments, right? So as we discussed that once it is fixed or freezed, we are not going to increase, right? Suppose a company come up with new plans or future plans, and they would like to increase a segment, but at the same time, system is not going to give a chance to increase segments as we have freezed. So in this case, suppose company is identified a segment which is unused, okay, and that unused segment, will it be changing to a new segment or maybe in a future purpose?
Yeah. 2 points. 2 points. First point is already you plan to have additional segments with the future. Okay. So
No,
as
in
I
my
mentioned-
case-
one second. I'm coming to that point also. Second point also I'll talk. Okay. So you might have used these 2 segments. Now you identify some segments in this list not in use. So you are not doing some intercompany transactions, you are not doing some projects. Then what you can do is that name you can change how you want and maintain the values accordingly. Then you can use it. That's okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the existing values, what you have, everything you can disable. There might be some transaction, etc., etc. You have to take care of those, and you can convert into different purpose. Accordingly, you maintain the values, and you can start using how it is required.
Yeah.
Always remember, we'll have a buffer segments. This is how.
Yeah.
So this future one you can convert into location maybe after 2-3 years if you need segment called as location. Done. And one more
Okay.
buffer you have future too. Maybe after 5-6 years you need one more segment. That is nothing but product. Convert. After 5 years you need one more segment. You are lost.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you, Lakshman.
Yeah. Thanks. Any other questions?